It's not your journey to take. It's not your journey to take. It's not your journey to take. Let's learn. Let's learn.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Not Your Journey to Take Early Morning Sip and Chat. My name is Keisha Mason Campbell. I am the author of Not Your Journey to Take, and I teach women that no is a complete sentence. And I show them how to set healthy boundaries with families while putting their needs first. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I hope that everybody is having a great morning. I hope we're all getting our day started on purpose so that we can have a great day. Setting intentions for your day so that you can have a great day no matter what happens, right? So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we talked about the first week in January 2023, which was setting boundaries as goals, right? So you have all these goals that we're setting for the new year. And I tasked you with using a couple of those goals, set a couple of boundaries. Include some boundaries in there. So that was week 1. Week 2 was testing out the waters. Testing out the waters with setting some of your, or implementing some of your boundaries, right? It didn't matter who it was with, doesn't matter. Just testing out the waters a little bit. Why? Because everybody is not comfortable with setting boundaries. Everybody is not comfortable with implementing those boundaries. So that you can get some practice in, right? So that you can get some practice in. I said last week, let's test it out a little bit. Say no here or there. Put yourself first. Take some time for you before doing anything for anybody else, right? Start implementing those boundaries, but just do it in a test phase. Just do it in a test phase until you are ready. So this week, we're talking about reasons why we don't set boundaries, why we don't implement the boundaries. And the number one reason is fear. Fear. Can you believe it? You don't put you first because of fear. You ask, what is it that you are fearing? Let me give you a couple things that you're probably fearing. You're fearing that somehow someone is going to feel when you say no, right? We worry a lot about what everybody else thinks, how everybody else feels, how everybody else is going to perceive us. So we fear how someone is going to feel when we tell them no. We don't want them to be mad with us. We don't want them to be upset with us. We don't want them to be bothered by us. We don't want them to feel like we just don't want to be there, even though we don't, or we have something else going on. And that's okay to pump the brakes and say no. But you have a fear of how someone else is going to feel when you say no. 2, fear of retaliation, right? You like, retaliation? Why would they retaliate, right? You fear that they will tell you no just because you told them no. And you got some people out there that'll do that. Absolutely, you have people out there that'll do that. But you're not telling them no by being mean or causing any malice or choosing to say no just because you don't want to show up for them. That's not what it is. You're choosing to put you first, and you're choosing to take some time for you. And at the time that they're asking you to do anything, you just can't at the time because you're focused on you. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. So some people have a fear of retaliation. Just because I tell you no, and my reasons are because I'm focusing on me, that you're going to tell me no when I ask you for something or ask something of you. The third one is having fear that they won't respect your boundaries. They won't respect your no. They won't respect your right now. They won't respect the fact that you can't show up for them on today. So you have a fear that they won't respect your boundaries. 4, you have a fear of putting yourself first. How crazy is that, right? You have a fear of putting yourself first. Let's keep it 100. Some people feel guilty for putting themselves first. Some people feel guilty for showing up for themselves and not showing up for somebody else. But if you are not pouring from a full cup, then you won't show up for them for long. But if you are pouring from a full cup, you will show up for them. You will be present for them. You will absolutely be present for them. The fifth one. Ultimately, you are fearing the unknown. You don't know what the other person is going to say, how they're going to feel, how they're going to react, what they're going to do. It's just the unknown. And that unknown, the fearfulness of the unknown taps into all parts of our lives. Not just boundaries, but that fear of the unknown taps into all parts of our lives. But because we're talking about boundaries, we'll keep it at boundaries, right? So ultimately, fear of the unknown, just being unsure of what's next, unsure of what's going to happen if you say no, if you put you first, if you put boundaries in place. Just fear of what the world is going to think, what people are going to think, what your family is going to think, right? Fear of what you're going to think about yourself if you say no. Because sometimes when we say no, we have that shoulda, coulda, woulda spirit going on. Like, well, I shoulda did it. Yeah, I coulda did it. I woulda did it, but doesn't matter. You didn't, because you chose you. You chose to put you first. And that's absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. So we have a fear of how someone is going to feel if we say no. Fear of retaliation. Fear that they won't respect your boundaries. Fear of putting yourself first. And ultimately fear of the unknown. But as long as you're putting yourself first, that doesn't mean you can't show up. It doesn't mean you can't be there for others. You absolutely can. It's just you choose yourself first. What are you doing for yourself? How are you showing up for yourself? How are we doing all of those things, right? How are we getting in that? How are we taking care of ourselves first? And then show up for others. And when you do, you show up and you do all the things out of love and kindness. And I'm telling you, it'll be received way different than doing it out of being required, being obligated, right? Or you have to do this or that. It doesn't show up the same task, but it doesn't show up the same. And the same example I've been given for 3 weeks that I keep digging into your heads because I want you to resonate with this example. When you are on a plane, whether you've ever been on a plane to fly somewhere, if you've watched a TV show and you saw people get on a plane, flight attendant says the same thing consistently across the board, no matter what airline you're on. No matter what airline you're on, same thing. If the cabin loses air pressure, oxygen mask will fall. Secure your mask first. Then help others. Same premise in life. You can't help others if you haven't helped you first. Because ultimately, if you're helping everybody else put on their mask and you haven't put on yours, what do you think is going to happen? I'll tell you. You're going to fall out. You're not going to have anything to give. You can't help anybody else put on the mask because your oxygen is gone. Your oxygen is low. You're going to need to have somebody else to put your mask on. But they're so focused on themselves, they don't even see that you can't breathe. Same premise in life. Take care of you first. Make sure that you're good. Make sure that you're pouring from a full cup. And that you're able to show up for other people. That you're able to show up for other people. I task you this week with determining what is your fear of putting yourself first. What is your fear? What are you scared of? What are you afraid of? What do you think is going to happen? Just because you put you first. Hey, Doc, what do you think is going to happen if you put you first? That fear is going to be there, but you've got to get past that. You've got to get past the fear of putting you first. You have to, because if you don't, and you're pouring from that empty cup, or you're on that airplane and the flight attendant has already told you what you're responsible for, which is putting your mask on first, securing that before you help somebody else. Because remember the alternative. If I'm helping somebody else and I haven't secured my mask, what happens? I fall out. I'm not here to help anybody else, and I'm not here to help myself. But they're moving all along. They got their mask on and they're getting the oxygen. They're not thinking about me. They're not thinking about the fact that I can't breathe. Take care of you first. That way when you take care of others and help others, you're pulling from a full cup. From a full cup. So we'll run through those 5 fears right now again. Fear of how someone is going to feel when you say no. Fear of retaliation. Fear that they won't respect your boundaries. Fear of putting yourself first. And ultimately, fear of the unknown. The unknown is a bad boy, I tell you. That unknown shows up in all areas of our lives. But right now, we're just talking about boundaries. So remember, week 1 was, in your goals, put a few boundaries in there. Week 2, test the waters a little bit. Test them a little bit. And the reason why we tested those before talking about the fears, because I wanted to see how were you able to resonate with that. How are you able to set a couple boundaries here and there? And did it work for you? Did you have that uncomfortable feeling in the pit of your stomach? Did you second guess everything you had to do or did not do? Every time you said, no, stop, don't, I won't, I can't. You changed your mind and said, oh, well, I can go ahead and just do it. Oh, I should have just went ahead and did it. Or I would have did it, but no. It's okay. I know we got to get together and talk again. So yes, absolutely. So you have got to find that balance. So this week we're talking about the fears. You needed to test the waters to see how you were going to feel about it. Now we're going to talk about the fears. The fears of putting yourself first. The fear of not showing up for you. The fear of saying no and knowing that no is a complete sentence. The fear of feeling like you have to show up for everybody else and not show up for yourself first. Those fears are there. That uncomfortable feeling is there. That feeling in the pit of your stomach. You're like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. It's almost like you're playing double dutch. Remember the game? It's like you're playing double dutch. Double dutch and trying to put yourself first. Playing double dutch and saying no and knowing that is a complete sentence without having to give an explanation. Unless you want to. Now, I'm not telling you not to ever give an explanation because all of that is your choice. But you can't pour from an empty cup and you cannot help others if you have not helped yourself. Okay? So you have to learn that no is a complete sentence. You have to learn how to set healthy boundaries. Not just boundaries, because we're not setting boundaries because we're mean or because we're angry or because things are just not going our way. You're not doing that. You're setting healthy boundaries, right? Setting healthy boundaries that are ongoing, all while putting your needs first because you got to take care of you. You have to take care of you first. You have to. So I want to thank you for joining Not Your Journey to Take Early Morning Sip and Chat. I want to thank you for watching me live and watching the replay. And remember, we got to put ourselves first before we help anybody else. Because just like the flight attendant says, when the cabin loses air pressure, put your mask on first and then help others. So just remember that. Put your mask on first and then help others. Same premise is true in life. Same premise is true every day when you get ready to walk out of here to run your business, go to work, take care of life. Take care of you first. And then when you head out, everything else will fall in its place. So I hope that all of you have a super fantastic day on purpose. My name is Keisha Mason Campbell. I am the author of Not Your Journey to Take. And I teach women that no is a complete sentence. I show them how to set healthy boundaries while putting their needs first. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning and Not Your Journey to Take early morning sip and chat. Thank you. Thank you for watching the latest Not Your Journey to Take video. I hope that each of you will be having a super fantastic day, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share.